I appreciate that you recognize what an unbelievably weird thing it is to do. I don't know why you keep doing it. This is the first of many voice messages he sends, even after recognizing this immutable fact that it is weird and embarrassing.
And sorry for the delay. I was going to get back to you, but someone called about a gig tomorrow and I'm trying to help them find a musician. Also, I'm not sure if I'm fucking funny anymore. I just spent 60 minutes, like I said, playing guitar and singing to a room full of senior citizens, but the room was stuffy and hot. I had to do it with the surgical mask on, and I'm not sure if I have any funny or social energy left, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try and fake it right now. So thank you for your understanding and patience, and here goes nothing. I'm a fucking idiot. Enjoy.
He's actually treating this like it's some kind of movie audition. What are you talking about? I also just, I love that he immediately makes himself seem like super busy. Like, hey, sorry for the delay. I know you were waiting on bated breath for my explanation, but I had to help very big musicians find a gig. You may have heard of them before. Bring Me the Horizon. Yeah, I'm the lead singer. So I had a lot going on. I was double booked, so I had to give them a different band. You may have heard of them, Metallica. But anyway, let me go ahead and explain what's going on. I just finished one of my own gigs, in fact, so I'm a little drained, but don't be perturbed because I'm gonna do my best to fake it. So stay tuned for part two. It's coming right up. Yeah, like he's about to go through his stand-up comedy routine, which you don't want to miss.
In the trenches of online dating for a couple of years, so I definitely know how to identify the kind of person I'm like, if nothing else, the world would be better if we were friends. So hear me out. First of all, I never fucking see that shrug emoji. No one else uses it. It's typed into my phone. If I type shrug with 2 G's, it just shows up. Same thing on my laptop. Like, I'll use it in work emails. Fuck it. So right away, I'm like, interesting. I don't get it though. She's cute. For how pretty she is, she should be boring. Why does she seem kind of strange in a good way?
That's a spectacular start right there. I was like, she's kind of pretty, so why isn't she like a fucking lobotomite boring dumbass? Like, she used an emoji that I really like, and she's pretty. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Pretty women can't have a personality, but you're like defying all of science right now. He just keeps going on about this fucking shrug emoji. He's talking about her bio on the dating site, and he just really fixates on that. That shrug emoji is like Cupid's arrow to this guy. He fell in love instantly when he saw it in her bio. I don't know why he thought it was a compliment to say that she's like strange and different in a good way because pretty women are like boring or whatever, insinuates that a pretty girl can't have a personality. I don't know what the thought process was with that approach, but it's definitely a bold play.
I think you said something about live music. My job is actually live music. I play guitar and sing. I do about 25 shows a month. I know it sounds made up. I feel like I invented the job. It's redonkulous, but I live very comfortably. Life is good. I do play at a lot of retirement homes, and it's great for my self-esteem, Kels, as I am a big hit with women over 80.
Timeout. Timeout. Technical foul here. He just dropped a redonkulous. He just said redonkulous. And then not only that, in his only second voice message here, he's already just calling her Kels. They're not even on like a first name basis. They're not acquaintances. These are two complete strangers, and he's already giving her like a nickname. What the fuck?
Oh yeah, and just the night before, I'd been talking to one of my best friends in the world, Roxy. Just people that like match you and they just write hey. So if someone writes hey, I just write hi. And if someone writes sup, I go nothing much, you. And like people that match me and clearly haven't read my fucking bio, folks will match and be like, so what do you do for a living? I'm like, come on, Chelsea. Like, yeah, you're kind of cute, but I'm pretty damn sweet. Try harder.
Why are you even talking about this? You're like trauma dumping on this complete stranger right now that you've tracked down from a dating app to try and communicate directly with because you didn't match with her. What the fuck is this? Now you're just going on about like, oh, dating apps are so weird. People just say like, hey. So then I'm like, hi. You don't know how to have a conversation. You didn't read the bio that I painstakingly typed up. I spent a long time on that bio and now I'm offended. Ridiculous. Excuse me, redonkulous.
I don't know. It's just to see someone mention that in a bio, I'm like, thank you. I can see that you feel the same as me. Yeah, if people, I always think that effort should match interest in dating. So if you're curious if someone's interested or not, remember that scene with Justin Long and what's her face in that movie about dating? Is it he's just not that into you? And he's like, if the guy's interested, he will call. And it's true. So I found a line a couple years ago and it's like, effort will always match interest. It will show you how interested someone is. And like, I'm pretty goddamn sweet, and I am not that lonely, bored, or horny. I'm not going to take breadcrumbs from someone if I want a sandwich. So if someone hits me with a hey or hi, you can go fuck yourself.
He's just sounding like a complete unhinged asshole here. It's not that deep. What do you mean they can just go fuck themselves? No one's even, like, what does this have to do with anything in this situation? This isn't even flirting. This is just blurting. He's just blurting out all of the most nonsensical shit in his head right now to a complete stranger. And not only that, this is probably not even his first take. I bet he recorded this like 10 times until he had one that was like, this is the one. This was smooth. And that's what we got here. We got the final product. This isn't even like the first draft, I doubt. That's mind-blowing.
I'm worth more. Damn it. This is where the Kelly Clarkson song comes in. Yeah, no, your bio is just, there was so much intentional effort put in, and honestly, the more I scroll down in the pics, I'm like, this does not match up. I don't want to sound like an asshole. Like, attractive people can also be interesting and funny, but it's just incredibly rare. I speak for myself, because I'd like to consider myself one of those.
That's the end of chapter 2 from the voice memos, but don't worry, there's still a finale, and it's the extended director's cut. The next one's over 5 minutes long. Also, he doubles down on this whole, like, yeah, you're, like, pretty, but you have a personality, which that just does not happen. I don't know why he thinks that that's some kind of, like, grand compliment. It's very odd. Now, before playing the 5-minute, 30-second monologue here, he must have seen that she listened to it. He's like, ha, gotcha. Yeah, I gotcha. Red-handed. You listen to it. Curiosity got the better of you. And then she says, dude, so you saw me on Bumble and found me on Facebook? How? Clearly very creeped out by it, understandably. And then he goes, oh, I honestly just typed in Kelsey and I guess I got lucky. I figured because you put live music we might have some friends in common or something. I blame Zuckerberg, and then laughing emoji. Which contradicts everything that he's said here, because he's constantly talking and referencing her bio, which I think is referring to her dating profile bio. Especially because he does mention, like, online dating with hays and highs and shit. So I don't even know why he thought that would somehow save the situation. Like, she'd be fooled by it.
For the love of fuck, I was like 2 minutes into one, and it was awesome and funny, and I was so proud of it, and then someone called me again about a gig this evening, and it's like, you know that thing where your friends know you're busy or you're on a date or something, and then that's when they decide to call? Jesus Christ.
Excellent. Chef's kiss. This is how you start a romantic message. Oh, for the love of fuck. I was in the middle of something spectacular. You were gonna love it, Kels. You were gonna love it. Trust me. But then one of my fucking asshole friends called me about a gig because I'm so busy being a successful live musician. Can you believe that, Kels? Can you believe that? It's like those things, you know, where, like, we both go on dates, right? I go on dates. Clearly, you go on dates, and sometimes when you're just busy, people call. It's Jesus Christ.
But yeah, no, your bio was just the fucking bee's knees. I mean, listen, top 3 in like the hundreds or thousands I've seen. It was just, I don't know. I'm a very good judge of character, and you just seem like my kind of person. And I'm not saying we're star-crossed lovers. I don't know you, and you don't know me.
That's 100% correct. You don't know each other. So why are you doing this? This is not how you get to know someone. This is concerning. Also, you should never admit to seeing hundreds or thousands of dating profile bios. That makes you sound very desperate, that you spend all of your time on these dating apps, perusing it, cruising around, and if you don't match with someone you found attractive or interesting based on their bio, you go out of your way to find them elsewhere to try and talk to them, which is very scary behavior.
I fully accept how strange and unconventional this is. I got a vibe and I figured I got to go with it. I was like in a really good mood that day. I don't know. I'm totally winging it. But yeah, a lot of my close friends are women, and everyone unfortunately has a couple stories of having to block someone's number, or an ex just won't leave them alone, or going to the cops. Fuck, dude, I've had to block a few numbers of crazy people that didn't know they were crazy. So I really, really apologize sincerely if this in any way like triggered that, or it was weird or whatever. Kelsey, that's the furthest thing from my intention. I just wanted to say howdy, and I figured if I talk like an idiot, you'd probably feel like I did after I looked at your bio.
It's so close. He's teetering on the edge of self-awareness. Him saying all of this out loud should have led to this eureka moment where he was overcome with immense shame, and he just presses the eject button and deletes the voice memo and doesn't doesn't continue this conversation. Like, he's clearly pointing out just how weird all of this is. He's even going into all of his friends are women who, you know, have stories about having to block crazy people who didn't know they were crazy. Like, case in point, what you're doing here, but you keep trying to, like, make it seem like it's not weird, even though you do keep acknowledging how weird it is. So, like, you're fighting, like, a battle against yourself in your own messages. You are calling yourself out in front of the person that you're talking to as well. It's really weird.
Oh, okay. It's not fair. You've seen mine, or sorry, I've seen yours and you have not seen mine. If you want, I will screenshot my Bumble bio. I'm quite proud of it. I think it's pretty fucking good. It represents me well. And what else would I want to know if I was you? Gee, I'm like 6 feet tall, pretty damn handsome. I'd give me like a 7. No, like a 7.5 out of 10 looks wise. I mean, to my knowledge, no one has dated me for my abs or my hair. I'm guessing it's because I'm funny and honest and clearly very humble and go to therapy and emotionally intelligent.
It's not a job interview, bro. You don't need to be giving your resume here. Brother, just stop. Please. Goodness gracious.
7.5, maybe even an 8. I'm feeling really fucking good lately. I got a tan. I'm up to like 80-second side planks. I hate them, but they're totally worth it for the core. And big feet. So you know what that means, baby doll. Big socks.
You're scaring me. You are scaring me. Why would you do that? What? From way downtown here, he's throwing up a crazy jump shot. He immediately goes into, I've got big feet. You know what that means, baby girl. Oh my lord, please. Have mercy. Have mercy. Why? Why?
What else? I feel like I didn't tell you enough about the bio too. That shrug emoji was just, if nothing else, the fact that like you look like a Disney princess and you use that, I'm like, fuck it, I gotta talk to her. So, oh, I was definitely getting strong Kirsten Bell vibes too, and she's awesome. I don't know if you listen to her husband's podcast, Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard. It's quite the reference, but I have a feeling you might know what that is. One of my favorite episodes, actually, is it Lauren Graham that plays Lorelai? She was on there. Anyway, I am all over the fucking place, as is my job.
You're also all over the place in this one-sided conversation. Now you're shouting out podcasts, talking about fucking shrug emoji again. It's hurting me listening to this. Let this be a lesson to everyone out there watching this. Just don't do anything even remotely like this. Never engage in a one-sided conversation where you have to be the one filling in blanks in a conversation that doesn't really exist.
But I'm sitting here, a middle-aged guy in his car with the AC on and a SpongeBob shirt, and I would call this like the technological version of, you know, when like Noah stops Allie in the Notebook and he's like, I had to talk to you when I see something I want. Yes, I just made a Notebook reference. I don't know. I'm being a total idiot right now. So if nothing else, I figured you'd have a laugh and a smile and you can fucking make fun of me to your friends. I don't know. Now you have a solo podcast for a guy that makes like $6,000 a month on a microphone being an idiot.
He was right. This is something that everyone can laugh about and have a big smile on their face, making fun of this whole situation. And then out of nowhere, he drops like his salary from his job, like to flex. He just like slides that in there, which, I mean, it's an interesting strategy yet again. This guy's got a wild book of tricks.
I'm sorry, I don't normally bring up money, but I feel like I created my job out of thin air, and like I just submitted my 2022 taxes, and shit's been getting so much better the last few years, so I'm quite proud of it. That wasn't me trying to impress you, though, with money. I've got way more impressive shit than that. It just slipped out. I hope we can still be friends. Anyway,
Why leave it in there, then? You saying that clearly made you uncomfortable. You could have just deleted this and just tried again. Though I don't think you should have tried again regardless. This shouldn't have happened to begin with. But you yourself just made yourself puke in your mouth when you said your $6,000 a month out loud like that as like a flex, and you still let it ride. You still let this Beyblade rip. Why?
You look like a goddamn Disney princess. The bio completely floored me. I felt like it was written by a friend or something. I just got like strong, like fellow nerd, divergent, super cool, gregarious, happy person vibes. And yeah, so listen, I'm an open book. You probably figured that out like 6 overshares ago. If you have any questions for me, please hit me. Don't be shy. If you want, I'll share my bio. I feel like it's unfair that, I've seen yours and you haven't seen mine. I'm quite proud of my bio.
This entire situation has been nothing but overshares from you. She's not going to ask you any questions. No sane person would. It's not going to happen. This whole thing was a complete catastrophe. And once again, hung up on this fucking bio thing. They're just bios. Most people write them in 10 seconds. I don't know how long he spent, like, finally crafting his, but that is not the norm. I'm sure she didn't spend days coming up with her bio on here. I don't know how it resonated so strongly with this guy, but I bet after this whole song and dance, the woman here immediately just deleted her whole account, or at the very least removed the bio entirely.
Yeah, for the 80th time, I apologize if this was weird, or like gave you any bad vibes. That's not my intention. Yeah, I gotta drive home now because I gotta go sing at a bar in Mississauga, and I have 4 more gigs this weekend, and it hurts to talk. So I'm sitting here in my car like a jackass, and yeah, I hope that all made some kind of sense. And if nothing else, please take the sincere compliment. I've seen hundreds of shitty bios, probably thousands, and yours was easily top 3. The only reason I'm not giving you number 1 is because then it would seem like I'm lying. But I'm a very genuine, honest person, and yeah. Actually, on my way home, I'm going to go to the park and feed the ducks. My favorite swan couple, Mr. Plump and Mrs. Plumfett, they just had babies a couple weeks ago. So, like, I'll run up and they recognize me and the babies are squeaking. The hierarchy of, like, waterfowl cute babies, it goes swan babies, then ducklings, and then goslings. But, yes, I may or may not do that 4 to 7 times a week. I'm a huge animal lover. Dogs are better than cats. Cats suck. Sorry if you have cats, but I'm sure your cat is cool.
That was one of the most peculiar lies I've ever heard. You're going to stop at the park on the way home so you can visit your favorite swan couple, Mr. Plumph and Mrs. Plumfett, because they just had babies a couple weeks ago, and they recognize you and get excited and start squeaking when you come by. Like you're part of the family, part of the crew, part of the ship. What universe? What the fuck? That's not even something Dr. Seuss would write as like a little goofy side plot in a story. That is the biggest lie I've ever heard, for no reason, for no reason. The quirkiness is overloading. Like the cup runneth over on quirk. Wow.
And yeah, take the compliment. Anyway, apologies if this totally intruded on your day, opposite of my intention. And yeah, your bio was fucking awesome. I mean, there's a couple other assets I noticed too, but I cannot mention them without sounding like a fuckboy, so I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm sure you've worked very hard to be in the shape you're in, but goddamn, lady. God damn, I would not kick you out of bed for eating crackers. So I figured if you are half as funny as you seem to be and half as cool as I got from that bio, I would say howdy. Yeah, all right. Hope this made you laugh and smile, and you have a fantastical day, Kelsey. Cheers.
And that's the grand finale of this whole situation, and what a journey it was. I find this to be probably the best example of the worst approach to romance imaginable. And like I said, this was not an isolated incident. He's done this before. And he's even used the same lines before. Which is it's so wild. It's so wild. I had to talk about it. I had to. So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. This is an embarrassing thing to admit out loud, but I've recently found a great guilty pleasure that I've been consuming like junk food. It's those ridiculously cringe podcasts where a few dudes, pseudo-intellectuals, bring on a bunch of women and have the worst debates of all time. It's a forsaken wasteland where normal thinking goes to die. A thunderdome of delusion. It is brain-melting. It reminds me of those old PSAs for the dangers of smoking cigarettes, and they'll like open up someone's chest and be like, this is what your lungs look like when you smoke, and it's like yellow and oozing, covered in this like disgusting slime, and it's very fucking yucky. This is like that, but instead of showing you your lungs on cigarettes, it's your brain when watching this content, and it's fucking revolting. Like, it is actual brain rot, and I can't look away.
And goes into a marriage and has kids when they're like 18, 19, 20. And then a year into the relationship, it gets really, really abusive.
From who?
from both.
This is so rare.
Anyone
It's
anyone
so
really.
rare.
I mean, it happens.
Go
I'm
on,
just-
go on.
My point is, I'm
Hypothetically.
just even though it might be rare from what you guys think.
It is.
I already just find this painful. She's asking a very simple question and setting it up, talking about abuse. And already the dudes here are like, this is ridiculous. This is exceptionally rare. This is damn near science fiction. Abuse? Never even heard of it. That's like winning the lottery twice level of astronomical odds. Abuse is, it is very uncommon, very rare. As a way of trying to like kind of shut it down already, like, you're choosing something very fringe and outlandish. Abuse is, it's like a unicorn. It almost doesn't exist. But anyway, crazy lady, go on with your hypothetical abuse thing or whatever you called it. It's just trying to downplay it, which I think is just cringe.
If it would happen, what would you recommend for those people to do? Would they divorce, or do you want them to keep going in the relationship?
Keep going.
You can't divorce. I mean, that's not a real thing. You can like separate. See, his Catholic background shines through. He knows. You can't divorce. You can separate, but you can't actually divorce. That's not a real thing.
Even though it might be like physically abusive.
You got to endure. People are too.
You want to stick in the
People
relationship.
are
as
just.
opposed to-
I mean, look,
people
I'm gonna be
nowadays
honest.
are just. Everybody quits. Everybody gives up. It's too hard. I'm this XYZ. This is why I'm special, so I can fuck up this entire situation based upon me being special.
The clown puts himself front and center here. You're looking at the chief entertainment for this episode. Fucking discount Walmart brand Sal from Impractical Jokers here. His name's Jonathan, and let me just tell you, he's got some opinions, and man, oh man, are they a stinker. So, the question is very simple. If there's an abusive relationship, an abusive marriage, should the marriage end? You know, if the woman is being abused, or even if the man is being abused. The woman who asked the question, her name is Melina, and she doesn't just make it exclusive to women getting abused. Men can also be victims of abuse, something that Jonathan heavily disagrees with. We'll get to that later on. But he is saying that, oh, if it's an abusive relationship, you have to endure. This is the problem with snowflake society now. Everyone's such a pussy, so they'll ruin a marriage because they think they're so special. You absolute fucking troglodyte. It's not about being special. It's about not getting beat the fuck up in a marriage. There's no excuse for abusing your spouse, whether it's physical or mental. Like, it's the most... There is a right answer to this question. And the answer is yes, the marriage should end if it's abusive. 100%. Whether it's the woman or the man being abused, it should straight up end. There's no enduring. This isn't one of those situations where it's like, you know, there's greener pastures once you get through a couple of the black eyes and broken bones. You know, my husband may have beat the fuck out of me a couple nights ago, but he also took me to a really fancy steakhouse and I had an absolute bangin' filet. So, you know, all of the abuse was worth it, and I'm a little happier today. It's ridiculous. This is honestly making me concerned. My heart is breaking for whatever woman he's in a relationship with. I'm imagining this guy treating relationships like it's Fight Club. If my partner can't roll with my knuckle sandwiches without crying about it and she wants to leave for it, well then good riddance to her toots. Jesus Christ, special snowflakes can't handle a few of my right hooks. Ridiculous. That's frightening. That is a frightening mentality. That you're telling someone to just endure physical or even mental abuse in a relationship and calling them like a special snowflake or a pussy if they don't. That's crazy. And also his cohort there, the goofball he's in cahoots with, who's like, man, divorce isn't real. Divorce is make-believe. It's hocus pocus. There's no such thing as divorce. Yes, if you're getting abused, you can't divorce, obviously. This is a wild episode.
And the reality is people just haven't learned to endure. There have been hard times in relationship. I'm sure you guys had hard times in relationship. Any relationship has hard time.
Okay.
And it is what it is. You need to push through and you need
What if
to
the
endure
kid
because
is
we're in
getting
this
abused?
hold on. Because we're in this situation now, like where everybody's just creating this like super nuanced, like 1% example of like, well, what if the kid's transgender, black, and abused, and he's a Black Lives Matter supporter? Like, cool, okay, I get like that one minute
no, but I'm asking
situation.
for anyone that might be in that situation, what would you recommend?
Okay,
Endure.
I'll tell
Would
you
they
what.
give up
I'll tell you what.
Endure.
I would
I
do.
don't- that's-
I'll tell you what.
Endure.
Hold on. I'll tell you what I would do.
A lot of diarrhea fell out of his mouth on this one here, so there's a lot to break down. He had an actual episode of psychosis there. He just started spitting shit that never even came up. It's a very simple question. It really wasn't nuanced. She just said, in an abusive relationship, should the marriage end? It really doesn't get more simple than that. A fucking child could understand the question. There wasn't anything about like, all these nuance that you bring up. But anyway, Smash Mouth has his meltdown there for a second, but his message is still the same. No matter what, you gotta endure. You gotta endure the abuse. He even has the chutzpah to equate abuse to just a hard time in a relationship, as if it's just some little obstacle, little hiccup that every relationship goes through. Brother, abuse is not a hard time in a relationship. That is a fucking crime. That is when a relationship ends, should end.
I wouldn't want my daughter in that situation, quite frankly. And I understand the argument to endure, because I have people close to me who grew up in abusive households, and it lasted for periods of time, and it was a phase, and they endured through it, and they ended up raising healthy, successful families.
Their faces really tell the whole story here. This reaction's pretty on par with that statement. Abuse is not a phase. It shouldn't be a phase. This isn't a normal thing. There's no reason to start normalizing abusive relationships as something every couple needs to go through or will go through. Abuse isn't acceptable. Full stop. Like, that's where... This was a really easy slam dunk for these dudes to answer. Should a marriage end when it gets abusive, whether for the woman or the man? And the answer is easy. It's yes. A relationship isn't something where there should be an abusive phase. If there is an abusive partner, that partner needs to seek legitimate help and get help for controlling whatever violent urges or impulses they have. But that doesn't mean that the other partner needs to stay in the relationship while they're getting that help. Especially not if there's children in the household, because not only is it dangerous for the partner, it's dangerous for the kid to be around as well. I think it's very simple. I don't think it's that nuanced. Abuse just isn't acceptable. Like, that's a super easy thing for a normal person to answer, but we've cultivated this culture online where everything needs to be like a debate, even on the simplest topics. Like, you just saw Smash Mouth have that meltdown, like, oh, you're getting into all this crazy 0.1% example nuance of abuse and then all of these other factors, like, out of nowhere, when that wasn't even what was discussed. It is the easiest black and white question.
To an extent.
So
I mean,
you would say that
families.
to stick in those relationships that might be abusive to everyone involved and a child, if there's a
I'm
child
not
involved?
saying like, hey, stick in the relationship and get the shit beat out of you by your husband.
I think I'm just asking you what you believe.
I'm just telling you.
Specific thing. Even if it's a small extreme thing, I'm just asking you what you think if you should stick in that relationship or not.
It is such an extreme example that I can't give a prescription for what other people should do. There is an element.
God damn it, it's not even an extreme example. If you just Google it for like 15 seconds, there's so many different studies conducted on the topic, and according to a lot of the different numbers, all of which are a little different, but most of them agree that at least 20% of all marriages are abusive at some point in time. And that's just in reported cases. Like, it's not an extreme example. It's really not. But even if it was, it doesn't even change the question. Like, even in the extreme example here, it's still a very easy answer that, yes, that marriage should end. There is a problem. Now, this guy here is trying to play nice with everybody, so he's like, oh, yes, even this goober over here talking about endure. I mean, there's almost an element of something salvageable of his point, when there's not. Like, there's no excuse. Like, you shouldn't be enduring abuse, like, under any circumstance, but he's really trying to give an olive branch over there for some fucking reason. But this guy is at least admitting, like, he wouldn't want his daughter in that. So he does outright say, like, yes, a woman shouldn't be getting the shit beat out of her in a marriage or relationship, and she should leave. He at least will concede that, whereas the other two guys still, for some reason, fight tooth and nail that, nah, there's really no reason to be leaving.
Like that.
Do you have opinions about third trimester abortion?
It's
Yes.
terrible.
Listen,
It's
Okay,
terrible.
look at how quickly you can debate it. Do you know how rare third trimester abortions are? They're also really
They
rare,
are.
but you immediately had a visceral reaction to that,
Yeah.
right? There are households where parents are abusive to children. Like, that's not like an unfathomable thing. But for you to have that immediate visceral reaction to a type of abortion, that's so incredibly rare. But then when it's
I
like,
mean, we're
could you
talking
have-
about like a guy like getting drunk and like, you know, beating
have to be
his
getting
wife
drunk.
occasionally versus like
I actually think that was a really good point from Destiny there. Like, you have a very quick reaction to another extreme example. Why do you not have that same energy when it comes to abusive households? And then the guy starts making some shit up like, we're talking about a guy getting drunk and maybe putting his hands on his wife. Where is that coming from? The question was so simple. They're making up like a whole fanfic plotline in their head about what was asked when it was really super simple. Abusive household. Should the marriage end? Like, I actually wonder if she had even just said something even more simple and broad what the response would have been. If she had asked,